All right, good morning and welcome to the channel. Today, we're going to be talking about another wait list. And so the announcement goes like this. For a long time, we made recommendations, and I believe the new course of action is we're going to be posting all the open waiting lists as they happen with instructions to help people out, okay? Um, a lot of PHAs do a very poor job of actually getting the information out. Maybe it's just not important in that town, and the news doesn't want to publish it. So by the time people find out, it's generally too late. So in this case, we're going to be talking about the Tucson Housing Authority, and it's already been open a bit, and it's going to continue to be open until the 24th. We're going to go to the details. Now, before I get started, I want to do a few introductions. I am Jay, and I am the owner of Section8Consulting.com. We work with upwards of 1,000 clients a year, helping them with housing search, navigating the system, and consulting. And so we offer a wide range of services and usually are able to get our clients through the system a lot quicker than these 8 to 15-year waits a lot of guys are used to. So let me grab the information here, and we're going to go over it and talk a little bit. So the Tucson Housing Authority wait list will be open until January 24th. And starting in February, you will be getting decisions on whether or not you're going to be able to get this. Now, one thing I want to make clear is that you do not necessarily need to live in Tucson in order to acquire a voucher. There is nothing preventing you at the federal level from taking that voucher from the Tucson area and porting it to some other county in Arizona or some other state if permissible. Okay, that would speed things up, wouldn't it? Especially if you're across the nation. One thing I want to give a shout out for is another housing authority that's in Arizona and Reno, Nevada. I want to bring them up real quick. You know, out of all the years, 22 years of doing this, I've got to say that Reno, Nevada has some of the most professional staff at their housing authority I've ever seen. In fact, I would say that typically housing authorities, when you go to Google and look at a rating, you'll see a rating between 1.0 and 2.0, which is pretty bad. And though their housing authority for Reno, I think, has a 3.4 or 3.5, that in terms of housing authorities is exceptional. They're very well staffed by highly educated people there. And so I was rather impressed by that. We're doing market research for a rather large landlord and doing interventions for that area. So I just thought I'd bring that up. I was very proud of that housing authority for being so much better than what I'm seeing across the U.S. or have. So the City of Tucson on Tuesday, January 3rd is when it started, will open their pre-application period. And I want to talk about pre-applications, guys. There's multiple layers anytime you deal with the housing authority. The first application is what I always like to call a process of elimination. A lot of people are going to apply that simply have no fundamental reason to have the voucher. They do it because it's free. It's another thing to do. They've already got a food stamp card. Why not a voucher, you know? But the reality of it is, if you can clear the pre-round, the pre-application, you'll move on to primary. Primary is where they verify everything, and then they're going to be asking you about preferences. Let's make no mistake. This is less of a waiting list, but more of a lottery. A computer will make the determination. But you would be foolish to believe that that lottery, at random as it says it is, that they're not going to categorize people with a high preferences, seniors, disabled, so on, into one smaller lottery, and all the irrelevant people just doing this to do it in a much larger lottery, which likely yields nothing. Okay? I think a lot of you don't realize that there's sometimes a lottery has several bubbles, a little bubble where they know everybody's really qualified to get this, and that bubble remains at the top of that lottery, and then a much fatter bubble at the bottom, which they may choose some people from, and then that would likely be people that have virtually no reason to have this. That being said, the pre-application period for families and individuals seeking to be placed on the waiting list for the Public Housing Authority and the City of Tucson and Pima County, just this is inclusionary of an additional county, Pima County Housing Choice Voucher. The pre-application will continue through January 24th. So guys, it's the 17th. You have effectively another week. And all applications received in this 3-week window will be placed in the lottery. You have just as good as odds as you did January 3rd. Applicants in the lottery be randomly selected by a computer to be placed on a waiting list in order in which they were selected. That don't mean anything. It just means that if you applied on January 3rd, if they pick 100 people and say 3 people decided to apply on the 24th, not the 3rd, it just means that people applied on January 3rd will get their notification first. The relevance is that is nothing. In February, they're likely to contact everybody within days. Okay. The city begin the application. We'll see. The city begin to select applicants who will then go through the eligibility process. That where about 80% of the people that applied will be eliminated to qualify for the public housing owned by here's where it says process to qualify for public housing, better known as project-based housing, owned by the city of Tucson and the city. And then they're also including housing choice vouchers. Let me make a very clear recommendation here, guys. You do not really want public housing, okay? Public housing, there's another very cool name for that. It's called project-based. If you're going to make the housing authority, which likely is not that friendly, the person that's in control of your voucher, do you really want them also to be your landlord? That means that anything that you object to, they own the property as well. And since they objected, then the odds of you getting put out for any casual reason or your encounter with other people that may struggle with prostitution and gang activity and other issues, or being relegated to a property in an extremely less than affluent neighborhood could be a big problem. I would suggest to you that you decline project-based housing or their version of public housing, and then probably look into getting the housing choice voucher, okay? The opening on the waiting list comes at a critical time where many residents obviously have been seeking an affordable place to live. Rental housing assistance is a city. Let me tell you, they've been struggling out there, so I can say that, it's definitely something that that areas need. Arizona, as an example, was inundated by California. California is the epicenter of a crisis. LA is the absolute epitome of hell right now in Orange County because of all the demand and extreme homelessness. And so when people couldn't get things in California, they flooded Arizona. And because of that, you've seen for 3 years, we have struggled to get anything done in the state of Arizona. Now they're all starting to open, which is good. New year, new federal budget, time to open everything up, as I predictably said last year. All right, application will be in English, Arabic, Cantonese, Korean, Mandarin, Spanish, Swahili, and Vietnamese. In addition, assistance will be provided in alternative formats such as paper applications. Look, guys, I would avoid a paper application deal. There's a lot can go wrong. If you manage to not fill every line or put non-available in a line, then that can send your paperwork into a whirling pain of misery. Large print, braille, translation, and interpreting services are there. If you're blind or hard of seeing, then I don't see that there'd be any objective problem there. Oh, excuse me. For individuals and families who do not have access to a computer or smartphone, computers will be available during the 3 weeks throughout the city in various sites. In other words, just saying drive your car to the public library, okay? Or you take your smartphone or a friend's computer and have a seat at McDonald's and hope they have Wi-Fi. Thousands of applications are expected for the waiting list, which has been exhausted. The process will provide, housing, valuable housing opportunities for families. Now, I want to go over the pre-application aspects of this. So on January 3rd at 9 a.m. is when it kicked off. Again, it'll end on the 24th. Now, if you have questions, you'd want to email Tucson waiting list at Tuck. Well, let me go ahead and copy and paste this in. We're going to do links now, guys. So now would be the time to copy and paste the live chat. Questions should be sent to the housing authority itself. Let's pull up where to apply. Let's link you directly to that. And again, all this will be in the description. So you want to get in that waiting list, then do it right now. Do it right now. Stop the video. Go do it. All right, next link. It's going to be you go apply. That's what it is. Look, guys, I know a lot of people are all about privacy and everything else. You have got to provide the information they want. And to be clear about this, if they request your social security number, then you have to give it. If they request your bank statements, you will give that or you will get nothing, okay? Federal programs are not going to let you come out with a Chuck E. Cheese card and say that you're Mrs. Magic Mushroom. It does not work that way. So if you suffer from paranoia or other issues and you're unable to establish your identity, then the only voucher you're going to get is the one at the homeless shelter. They will gladly give you a yoga mat they just rinsed off and a free roll of socks, and then you can be housed there. Okay. Otherwise, you'll have to get past that particular hitch. Okay. I didn't mean that to be rude. I just actually meant it to be a little bit funny. All right. So the typical information they're going to be requesting. Applicants will be required to provide Social Security numbers or any form of payment. One application may be submitted per household, and duplicate applications will be removed. You'll need your name, your address, your date of birth, your preferred contact method. Look, preferred contact method. Look, be smart. Right? If you're unstable, you're jumping all over the place, and you know grandma's been living in the same house since 1923. Give that address, okay? I want to introduce a little friend here. She has decided that she was going to give us a little grief. So this is little mama. She wants to be part of the video today. As many of you know, I rescue cats, and when they want something, there's little I can do other than kill the video. So we'll just have to entertain, and this is little mama. So now that she's distracted me a bit, name, address, date of birth, preferred contact, list phone numbers, emails, multiples if you can. And then you'll need the information for every household member. It doesn't matter if the baby was born at midnight. You need to have information, okay? Household income and whether or not you're a veteran or disabled, okay? It's very important that if you have a veteran status or you believe that you have any fundamental reason, even if you can't prove that you have a disability, check the box anyways. They'll make a determination as to whether or not they believe you're disabled, okay? There's a lot of, unlike Social Security Administration that makes determinations on disabilities because you receive a check, they require a lot of proof because that's money, that's dollars. But HUD's a different federal agency. What it deems to be a disability is a much, much lower criteria. It could be as little as you've got corns on your feet and you have a mobility issue. Please, guys, a lot of you guys have contacted our company. We do casework with you. Oh, I'm not disabled. Then I find out you just had a cardiac surgery. You're missing a leg and an eyeball, but you still believe that fundamentally you're fine. Look, you've got to let pride go. Let it go. If you're not walking so well, then get on to CVS and get you a walker and then stroll into Housing Authority. Look, guys, that could cost you years. That nonsense. Pride can cost you. If you don't know, check it anyways. There's no rule against it. I see that a lot with you guys, checking and unchecking the wrong boxes. Then you basically light your own case on fire with the Housing Authority. So all this stuff resolves into one thing. They have a lot of vouchers. They probably going to have a lot of people that have no qualification to be there for it. It is to a certain degree going to be a lottery. And I'm pretty certain veterans, seniors, and others are going to be considered first, despite ultimate computer algorithm, okay? All right, so I'm going to address a few questions while I'm live here. LL says, I'm in San Diego. I've been in the waiting list since 2013. I do have a disability. Well, I can tell you, LL, if you've been on that waiting list since 2013, out of 889 clients for 2022, I can tell you that none of our clients have waited more than probably 4 months, okay? So the fact that you've been in there a decade tells me either you have an irrelevant case or you lit your own case on fire by just giving really bad answers. There's no objective reason to be on a waiting list for a decade, okay? That's foolish. I'm not saying you're foolish. I'm just saying that if you waited a decade, you're really just fabulously wasting your time, or they've already purged you, okay? City Survivor, good morning. How are you doing? Thanks, Houston. For those that don't know, I live in Houston. Thinking of heading west. West is a good idea. There's lots of excellent states in the West, including Washington and Oregon. I won't say that California would be an objective way to address vouchers because it's very difficult unless you deal with the North. All right, City Survivor, how is the tenant-based housing situation in Arizona? Well, looks like we have a new kitty that wants to visit with us. This is a Siamese we picked up during Christmas. Oh, she's a little bitter today. She wants to be petted. This is tough when you're making videos. You know, we got cats rolling through, and I didn't do this intentionally, obviously. It's just that we have a lot of cats in our office. To date, I think we have 22 rescues, and she's one. And she showed up during the Arctic blast, And today she decided during the video she needs to be petted. So we'll just have to handle that business right now. Well, guys, I hope in some ways that's been beneficial to you about Tucson and its list. I hope that you guys get out there and apply. We're intending on publishing many, many more videos about waiting lists. If you'd like to do a live Q&A with us in a live video, be able to ask questions about housing. After 22 years of doing this, and virtually little I don't know about programs. We deal with landlords that have up to 15,000 properties. We have some as little as a few hundred or even one. As far as clients, we've probably dealt with over 20,000 at this point, and that's our success rate is pretty good. So it allows you an opportunity at no cost to get in a live video. We talk, and I'm pretty good. I can verbatim most federal laws surrounding housing. The same thing with Code of Federal Regulation and most policies, procedures, and data without even taking a breath. That is the difference between a person that runs a channel that is an expert at fidget spinners and baking cupcakes, and then deciding the next day they're going to gear their channel to being a master consultant with a triple PhD and then giving advice, which is ultimately just a fabulous joke. Okay. So if you're looking for quantified information that's actually real, that you can use, you'd likely find it here. There are a lot of random people that like to make videos in the subject matter, and many of which, their part-time job is being a party clown at a children's party. And then this afternoon, they're going to cut a video about how to go and wreck your life with a housing authority voucher. Okay. Watch where you get your advice. Let's see. Grab her real quick. So she's a hot mess. If you've ever seen a nice Siamese, that is her. Oh, she's got some claws to her. All right, let me wrap it up because now I'm rambling and we're talking about cats, and that's not what this video is about. So Thursdays and Sundays we do live videos. You want to ask questions, we can talk about it and so forth. And before I go, I'm going to leave you guys a few more links. And again, the links in the description to apply and other details will be in the description. And I'm going to grab that real quick. I was hoping to be better prepared, but I don't always have everything prepared in time. And so I'm going to give you information, including our websites, appointments, and all that. If you decide that you need assistance, it beats the hell out of calling 211. It also beats trying to call the housing authority that usually never answers. And of course, the feds, HUD, don't always have the time, and so sometimes this is a more efficient route for those of you that have struggled to get a straight answer. And trust me, there are not a lot of straight answers, and most of the articles on Google were written a decade ago or just irrelevant. They don't have no factual basis for the program today. Most of you don't realize that Section 8 program is not even the same thing that it was in the 80s. It's probably changed 8 times. I know in the last 10 years, it's changed 2 times over. So if you were in Section 8 in 2013, the system isn't even fundamentally the same anymore. And when we have an election year, it's going to change again. It could get funded, defunded. And then, of course, every new year, they like to ice the cake with more new policies and procedures. And what's interesting about housing authorities even though they operate under federal rules, every single one has their own identity. Their policies, procedures, data manuals, everything are going to be completely different. What you believe fundamentally and know for one housing authority, you think you've squared it away and you're going to go over to the next housing authority and perform your actions there, it's going to operate completely different. That's because PHAs listen to guidance, okay? And then they adjust to match the local market. Well, since no local market's the same, fundamentally, every housing authority is like a different fast food restaurant. They're serving something different in a different way. And that's why most articles written out there are just useless. Between the time gap and the policies and differences, you really would have to have a database with about a terabyte or more. And you'd have to have an extraordinary number of manuals, most of which are underwritten by Nan and McKay, to have a real fundamental understanding of the big things. Anyways, here's the links to our company and other information if you want to give us a visit. I've enjoyed talking with y'all. We'll see you, I believe, Thursday, and we'll do a live video. It's going to be a Section 8 and low-income housing Q&A for those that are senior, disabled, veterans, low-income, families, and so on, okay? Enjoy talking with y'all. Good afternoon for now.